Okay guys, so what we have here is a Sturmey Archer X-FDD Dynamo hub. It has a generator in it that develops 6 volts, 3 watts to power a light, and it develops alternating current. So the generator resides in here, and here's the outputs of the generator here, positive and negative. And on the other side, we have a drum brake inside of here, and it operates by cable. So I'm going to take it apart and show you the internals and how to check it out. I just wanted to point out some of the things I've got with it. First was this brake adjuster. So this slots in right here, and your brake cable comes through there, and then the housing stops there obviously, and then the wire comes down through here, and you have this little nut here. The wire goes through there, and then you tighten the cable with that, with the 2mm, and basically that'll end up right here. So when you squeeze the brake lever, it operates the brake, and there's a drum brake inside of here. So that's a couple of the pieces. I'm going to go ahead and take the hub apart. That was a 15mm. This is a 17mm nut. Thick washer. And then the hub just comes out, and there are your brake shoes. They're in pretty good shape. This is the 70mm. There's also a 90mm hub. So this is relatively small, and the concern is that there's not a lot of stopping power. But the bike I'm putting this on has V-brakes, so I don't know that they'll be any worse than the V-brakes, so we'll find out. So what I'm checking here is the condition of the pads. These look pretty good. If they're real shiny, then that would be called glazing, and you'd want to take some like steel wool or something to get that off. The other thing I'm going to want to do is put some lube on this pivot point, the brake actuator. So I'll just take a small screwdriver and get some wheel bearing grease on it, and then very carefully I'll just put a little lube in there. Doesn't take a whole lot. Do both sides, and then just work it back and forth. And then on the inside too, let's see, right in there, and right in there. And then just work it a little bit. This is what actuates the brakes. Okay, this will keep them from sticking. If there's any extra, just scrape it off and wipe it away. The next thing I want to look at is inside the hub itself. Okay, as you can see, there's some pitting inside of the brake drum, so we'll have to try to do something about that. So my favorite tool for this is some steel wool, and so what I'll do is I'll just go in here with steel wool and kind of see if I can clear up as much of that pitting as I can. Now I would recommend you do this dry, and you just want to get it smooth. Feel in there. I mean, you don't want to get anything like oily or greasy in here, because that's your brake surface, and obviously you want a lot of friction, so that's what stops the bike. So I'm just going to go in here and clean these up as best I can, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, so that's about as good as I can get it. I'm going to go ahead and just set that back on, the brake shoes, the washer, the 17mm, and now we'll tighten this up with a wrench before I put it on the bike. And then I'm just going to set the 15mm bolt on, or nut on there. Now on the other side we have this kind of unusual feature. This is the generator, is inside of here. I'm not going to take it apart, but I am going to test it. You have a silver colored lead and a copper colored lead. The copper is positive, the silver is negative. So we want to test and see that this hub is generating power. So stand by. Alright guys, so what I've done is I've hooked up the positive lead to the positive side of my test box and the negative lead to the negative side of the multimeter. So I've set it to AC voltage because this actually puts out AC voltage vice DC voltage. And what I'm going to do is just give the wheel a little spin. And you can see that it's generating voltage. So I'm going to assume the generator is working. Yeah, there's 4 volts. So it is putting out power, and that's the thing I wanted to check. So that's a good sign. Okay, there's a couple other pieces that came with it. It's these little connector pieces. And these are what connect the wire to the output of the dynamo. So you have one end of wires here, and somehow they have to connect here so you can put them on there. The manual says that you should strip the wires back 15 millimeters. So I just got my steel ruler out here and measured them, and they're both about 15 millimeters. So that's good. So the next thing you need to do is to thread them through the holes in the top of this. And you have to kind of figure out, okay, well, which side needs to be positive and which side needs to be negative. So on here, the left side is positive and the right side is negative. And this thing, this is the connector. It has a little shape there that fits like this. It only goes one way. It won't go on the other way. So that's how that connects there, and then this thing slides down inside of it like that. So the orientation will be, this will be like this on the bike. So I need to put the brown wire through this hole and the black wire through this one so that they'll be in the right orientation when it's on the bike. Okay, so I've got them in there, and then it says once they're in there you just bend them over this little slot right here like that. So that's what I'm going to do. So they're in the little slot like that, and then this just is a retainer. It kind of holds them in place. So I'm just going to slide that over the wires, and that holds the pressure so they won't come out. And if you look down in there, the wires are out, so when you slide it on, the wires will actually be touching against these two tabs. And that way the power will come through the wire to the dynamo lights and light them up. Now I don't have a set of dynamo lights yet, but I've ordered some, so hopefully they'll be in soon. I think what I'm going to do is, since these are exposed, is I'm going to wrap them with some black electrical tape just to keep it out of the weather. Alright everybody, here's the finished product. The brake is set up and ready to go, and the generator is working, so I just need to find a bike to put it on. And here's the bike. It's my 97 Cannondale touring bike. So I'm going to replace this wheel with this one, and next video will show you how that's done. Thanks for watching, guys.